The trilogy. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. Or now, because Miocic has got a win, Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3. Whoever wins earns their name at the front of that title. You know what I'm saying? Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3 seems like the next fight they're going to do. I feel like Stipe's going to beat him easier. I felt like we saw in that fight, in the rematch. First of all, I predicted Stipe to TKO him in the later rounds. I felt like we saw Daniel Cormier age. Yes, you could go 5 rounds. Here you can't. Stipe Miocic isn't going to take you lightly. He's not going to not see a shot coming. He's going to be switched on. And he's going to make things work. In the first round, I feel like there's a lot of confusion of the way things are going here. Because I think Stipe would destroy him in the trilogy. Like, really badly. Like, very badly. Because, first of all, if you don't think the ref is going to be paying extra close attention to eye pokes, you're just mistaken. Stipe Miocic fought that fight with DC in the rematch with one eye. And people were wondering why DC could have his hands down so low and just walk Stipe down and jab him in the face. Because he can't see, because DC's literally eye poked him about 10 times and the ref hasn't stepped in. So if there's a trilogy, the ref is for sure going to be prepared to look out for eye pokes. Because DC, and as much as I love DC, he's become filthy. He's a filthy man. Okay? I like DC. At least he learned something from the Jones loss. How to eye poke effectively. Because he hasn't even got caught for it. Or penalised. And he eye poked Stipe about 10 fucking times. Crazy. Okay? And it's crazy that Stipe can even come back. Because you get eye poked 10 times and it's literally an obvious eye poke where they intentionally eye poke you. And it's been proven. You can check the video of DC intentionally eye poke Stipe Miocic. And it'll come up in slow motion. DC doing it intentionally. And Stipe can just take it and keep coming. He's that bad. He's not that bad. He's that badass. There you go. That's an American thing. I'm not really used to that coming out of my mouth, so I fucked it up a second. Stipe Miocic is that tough. He can take eye pokes. That's why I think Stipe beats John Jones. Eye poke defense. Okay? I think Stipe's going to dismantle DC in the trilogy. I like DC. I don't think he should have done this. I think he should have retired. Because then there's questions. There's questions if you retire. If you come back and lose, there's no question you lost. And that'll go down in history. 2-1, it's over. If you go back, you're a simultaneous champion. Light heavyweight to heavyweight. Okay? You have a win over Stipe. More impressive than his win over yours. Because you KO'd him in the first round. So there's always a conversation for who is the real best heavyweight then. You coming back now. I feel like Stipe's going to get him. Alright? And him taking the eye pokes just shows how tough he is. Because we've seen guys recently not be able to take just a little gust of wind on the eye. You know? There's been a few eye poke situations where guys have quit recently. And Stipe just takes all, just literally, world champ. Just keeps getting eye poked. No problem. Stipe's going to walk through it. He's going to come back. And he's going to TKO you later on. That body shot. Listen, if Stipe found that in the 4th round, he's going to find it in the 1st in the rematch. You know what I'm saying? If he took him 3 rounds and he was like, oh, wait, the body shot's open. If you think for a second he's not going to go to that. Because DC does lean over whenever something's coming and sort of tries to smother things. And that body shot is open. If you don't think that Stipe is going to go to that well in the 1st round of their trilogy, you're mistaken. Okay? I think Stipe is going to get him. I think he's going to get him bad in this narrative that, oh, DC should have been wrestling. He did. It worked in the 1st round. Stipe was more gritty. Stipe was in better shape. I've never seen Stipe in that good of shape before. Ever. He looked phenomenal. DC's out there going, oh, I should have wrestled more. DC. DC wasn't saying that, but his coaches were saying he should have stuck to the game plan and wrestled, then he would win. But in reality, he tried. In the 2nd round, he shot on Stipe. Stipe shrugged him off. And then guess what? Shot on DC and took him down. It's hard to wrestle a guy when he doesn't like to be taken down. It's not like DC wasn't trying to wrestle him. DC was trying to get Stipe into the cage, Get him into a corner so he can have a good shot on a takedown and try and work him against the cage. But Stipe just wasn't having it. Moving his footwork, dipping out the way, moving outside, getting back into the centre of the octagon. There was never a chance past the first round for DC to get a hold of him properly. It was always a forced shot in the open. And Stipe defends and then shoots on his own takedown and takes down DC. I feel like people have this weird narrative of the fight by giving DC too many excuses here. If anything, we should be giving Stipe excuses for losing some of those rounds. Because he got eye-poked over and over and over again. Fuck all this, oh, he should have wrestled, when in reality he did, but he just couldn't get takedowns. Or, oh, he shouldn't have just walked him down like that. Well, it was working. So what's the problem? It was working till he got caught on the chin. So there's no problem with him walking Stipe down like that. It was working. I feel like a lot of people have these weird excuses on how they saw the fight. When in reality, DC brought his A game. So did Stipe. Stipe won. Keep that there. Goodbye.